think it would be impossible to make a recovery because the rapes continued for so long and all the horrible things that are going on that when you're a little kid like that, every time that everyone blames that one guy, they don't know about the other 9. And even if they knew about Skibed or they knew about anything else, there won't be very much anything that you'll be able to do about it. Nobody ever did anything because everyone makes an approach, makes an action on you that's far above your intelligence. And they dominate you because the spirit is for Michael Jackson and total domination over Frankie. Because remember, he sells the tickets. He does this, the spokesperson. He does the talking. He gives the messages out. He's a meteor. And when you have something like that happen, being a kid, every time someone just grooms you, it's okay, Frankie, it's okay. Bam, then someone else rapes you again. It's okay, Frankie. Oh no, let me train you to do this, and this is how you view the world. This is what you do, and this is how it happens. And this is, no, it's okay. And then bam, someone else does. So the ingestion that people give you mentally as a kid is so far beyond traumatizing that you can't function. You know, that even if some of the teachers were trying to, whatever, what you're doing is saying, keep going, get raped, keep going, it's okay, keep going. And that's why Frankie kept on, but then you blamed it on my mother's dysfunction. And it wasn't that because you attacked her. Then you went after my father. And it's just the thing about this situation. The thing about this situation as well is I remember I was going to say about my mother. I can't even remember right now. I had a really good thought of it just a second ago. Really good information I needed to share. About the astronaut. This is Michaela, you need to know this. When the astronaut showed up and he said on stage, you might be able to remember this because you're the one that approached him, and I remember that. It was so crazy. I have to explain this even more. Whenever that situation happened, I remember going and I paused and I went like this and I went, and I'm thinking, I was like, wow, that's a very beautiful girl. And I thought, well, you look like me. I remember thinking of that. I was like, but you look like me. And I remember and I was like, well, they're little kids. Because when I was in 5th grade, I was like, I understood little kid, right? You know what this makes me even think of? Wait a minute. If I was in 5th grade... Okay, Julian hadn't started school yet. Because I was going to say, could Julian have been in the same grade as Michaela? No, she was a grade above him. Because Michaela, I was in 5th grade, I was 12 years old. I was 11 when I entered, and I turned 12 late 5th grade. And this astronaut showed up late during the year. Because I remember it was summertime, close to summer. And... I would have been 12 years old. And Michaela's 6 years younger than me, 5 years younger than me. So Julian's 6 years younger than me. You know, she could have been in the same grade as Julian. Holy smokes. Because she would have been in the same grade as Julian. Or at least one grade. Because when I was in 4th grade, Julian was in kindergarten. And I remember that because when I was in 4th grade, Julian was in kindergarten. When I was in 5th grade, Julian was in 1st grade. So she could have been possibly in the same grade as Julian. That's wild. I didn't even think about that. She could be Julian. She could have been Julian. I don't think they were in the same class. They were in the same grade. Very highly likely. Who knows, maybe even the same class. I don't think they would have been because of brother and sister. Wow, that's crazy. And I used to pick up Julian all the time. Because we used to walk home. And I would walk with Julian all the time at school, or he'd go with us most of the time. And he'd always walk home with Travis. But anyway, when I saw Michaela, I kind of froze. And you know how people think an intuition of ghostly spirits, or how people have intuition between siblings? I didn't say anything, and I didn't know why I felt like you were my sister, that I don't even know that you're my sister. And it was weird. So I go walking back in line, and I get back to the class, and my teacher looks at me and goes like this. And she doesn't say anything. She does this body action just to watch my behavior, because I think it had to do with some sort of. Let me see if the spiritual world, or the odd connection of relatives that you can tell intuition toward one another. So it's a very interesting, like, sort of experiment this person was sort of doing. And I remember that, and I remember Miss Gillard looking at Miss Heather, and because there were classes right next to each other, and they used to talk a lot, and they would always be by their doors, and Miss Gillard would be like, oh. And so they're just watching, right? But damn, that's a good research thing I could find out. If I can get Julian's what grade he was in, and what grade Michaela was in, because they were in the same grade. I'm almost positive, because I was 12 years old. Michaela was not in second grade. I could tell her size, her stature. She wasn't in kindergarten by then. She was in first grade. She had, I don't think, maybe at the oldest second grade, but she was in first grade. When I was in fourth grade, Julian was in kindergarten. When I was in fifth grade, Julian was in first grade. When I was in sixth grade, Julian was in second grade. That's wild. So a lot of the meetings that they used to have, you know how they used to have, like, all fourth grade students go to a certain seminar, all fifth grade students go to a certain seminar, all second grade kids go to the zoo on this day, only second grade, all first grade kids go to track and field, all first grade and second grade and third grade go to track and field. They do those types of structures. So it's very likely that Michaela was intertwined with Julian. Wow. That's a really good research. That's a really good to find out. Whoever can find that out. You can figure out their activities. Track and field. They used to have Wet and Wild, Super Soaker Day at Good Elementary. They used to go to the zoo. They used to have, we go to the museum. What else? What else places they used to take us to on track and field? What do they call it? Track and field, or they call it, I forgot what they call it when you're little kids. They take you, to like the zoo or something. I think it was called Track and Field Day. But I don't think they were in the same class, because when I walked by her, I didn't see Julian. So that's how I know that she wasn't in the first class in his grade school, because Julian wasn't in her class. Because I would have said something or looked at Julian, and I remember when they stopped us right across from each other, and we just looked like this, and she just directly was just looking at me. It was very weird, because she looked at me like a sister that hates her brother, kind of. Like. But yeah, there's no way that was a worse decision. These psychologists didn't give a damn. They masterminded the situation. There is no way. You don't understand how trainful they're doing this shit to my mother, what they're doing to us, and what they're doing to Frankie when he goes to school, what they're doing for Michael Jackson, and then just, keep it going. Because when the astronaut was there, he goes, except for that one. And then I remember him doing this, going to like all the teachers and to everyone else. And he goes, and it's because Ken didn't say anything. No, it's because you're going to make Ken look like because my biological father got with a blonde white woman that had Michaela. Who's a real straight man? Oh, except for that one, you're going to fool us? No. We won the fight. You wearing an all-blue suit? This feels like an assassination plan. Neil Armstrong, you don't meet the guy that met... This guy used to work with Neil Armstrong, or met him. The guy landed on the first moon. First person to land on the moon. And he looks like Ken Cooper. Neil Armstrong, if I remember correctly, he looks like Ken Cooper. That same breed, German, blue eyes, blonde hair like that, same head structure, face. So why wouldn't you want to be patriotic about him? Mario and Luigi, huh? Just fixing the plumbing.